Howdy, folks. I'm Mark, and today I'm joined once again by Matt Intemann. Matt, thanks for joining me for this short talk about video games.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, absolutely. Do people still call you Matty Ice? Is that still a thing?
Uh, every so
Okay,
often I get a Matty Ice. Yeah, it's
very
out there
nice.
for sure.
Keeping it alive.
Yeah.
Well, you are listening to Quick Play, so let's get right into it. We're back for another Game of the Decade conversation. We're now 5 years into 2020s, which is, only half a decade, but kind of throughout this year, we're running just this ongoing series where I ask my guests, what's your game of the decade? So that's the reason for this. Like, it's a nice checkpoint on the halfway point of 2020. Also, it's just a nice time to talk about games we like. And so, yeah, it's a good excuse. But Matt, this is the third one, and we're already breaking the rules because I gotta ask, like, what's your game of the decade so far? But what are you thinking?
So I thought about this long and hard, and we talked a little bit before this started,
Mm-hmm.
but my answer would be probably The Last of Us 2 if I had played it more recently. But I have
Sure.
not played it since launch, and so
Yeah.
the feeling remains, but any like actual memory of it has almost certainly faded.
Sure.
Uh, so as life has gotten busier too, I've found myself kind of gravitating more towards shorter games,
Yeah.
and I guess that would mainly be indie titles.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a game of the decade title, I wouldn't be able to crown any one of these indie titles, even though they're very impactful and
Sure.
I've
Yeah.
had an absolute blast playing them. Uh, you know, they don't they don't have the meat, I guess,
Sure.
that a big title would have. So,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, we're cheating the rules, and I'm saying
But
that
all
indie
by their
games are
powers
my
combined,
yes.
indie
You put them all
games.
together,
Can be
and they
yes,
equal a AAA game.
exactly. Well, nice. Well, yeah. Have any you want to start with? Like, just as we kind of let's run through them. Talk about the ones that are special to you.
Yeah, and this will be a little bit of recency bias just based on what I've been playing very, very recently, but I have been absolutely addicted to Inscryption,
Okay. Nice.
the card
Yeah.
game.
Right.
Uh, I beat the main story a while ago, put it down, thought I was done with it, but it wasn't done with me.
Okay. Is there more to
So
do beyond the main story?
there's a post game.
Okay. Interesting.
There's
I
a
have
there's a post game with a like ramping difficulty modifier. So you clear one level of difficulty modification and you unlock a new starter deck. And then you do
okay.
another run with that new deck and a harder difficulty level. And you keep doing that and doing that.
Interesting.
So it took
Okay.
me 32 times to clear the first difficulty level,
Okay.
which is a lot of attempts.
Sure.
But then after that, it's like it took me a couple tries to get the second level. It took me a couple tries to get the third level. And then I just hit this brick wall on like level 7 where uh yeah, it's brutal. I mean, it's like it's a deck building roguelike that has a lot of luck and RNG in it, which is infuriating, but it's also
Yeah.
like five-dimensional chess or something too. Like there's a
Nice.
lot of strategy that goes into it too. So absolutely love Inscryption. One of the best indie titles I've ever played.
Nice. Good stuff. Yeah. I have not tried out myself. I'm a little bit scared of it. But I know Jake's a big fan of Inscription as well. I think
Yeah,
he liked it, right?
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, yeah. It's
Nice.
it's really really good. It's nothing to be scared of. Um, and I think it has some really unique elements that I haven't seen in any other game. Like it has some live action cutscenes
Oh,
that's just something
interesting.
I've not. Yeah, it's
Huh.
super fun and very
Yeah.
unique.
That's fascinating. All right. What else? What else is on your list of your game of the decades? Games of the
Uh,
decade.
I won't talk about this one too long, but Hades is
Mm-hmm.
just. I mean, it was really there for me when I needed it. It's just the writing, the art style, the gameplay
Yeah.
loop. Yeah, it just really is a 10 out of 10 game for me. And Hades 2 is my most anticipated game of this year.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, there'll be a longer conversation on Hades further down the pike from another guy who already like staked it out of like I want to talk about this game. Uh, but yeah, I also Hades is one I did play, so I really enjoyed that one. I beat the I got to the I beat a run basically. I haven't really gone back to it since. But it's kind of at this point of like I'll just wait for Hades 2, but it's really it's my first roguelite.
Mhm.
And that's I kind of get it now. I can see what itch that scratches. All
I
right,
mean, there's a
what else you
lot
got?
to
Yeah, go ahead.
do after escaping for the first time. There's still a lot to do. I mean,
Yes,
there's
yes, yeah,
characters you can reunite. There's a lot of
yeah.
storylines that you can wrap up.
Yes, I think that was kind of like the oh shoot. There's like I've scratched the surface of this game, and there's way more to do. Uh, all right, well, what's else on your list there?
So also just as a genre, I was telling you I've gotten really into just like very text heavy
Mm-hmm.
games. And I mean, I think Hades is a part of
Yeah,
that. It's a lot of action, but there's I mean, you get back
yeah,
to the House of Hades and like the dialogue's kind of half the fun of that game.
right. It's a good
Um
story, high quality writing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so if that's kind of like a fantasy mythology type genre, on the sci-fi side of things, Citizen Sleeper was really like a sleeper hit for me. i
Okay.
i bought it because I heard great
Yeah.
things. I think the synopsis says something about like take down capitalism in space or something like that. I can't remember, but it made me just impulse buy it pretty
Sure.
much.
Yeah. Like I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm gonna log
uh
on.
and it sat on my Switch for a while, but then I was traveling back from Colorado from my brother's bachelor party, and I was like, "Oh, what's on my Switch?" And I'm like, "Oh, Citizen Sleeper." Yeah, I picked that up, didn't get very far, and yeah, just the sci-fi writing of it and the characters, and uh, it really pulled me in, and I loved it. And I've been really anticipating the second one, which just
Yeah.
came out,
Yep.
and seems like an improvement on the first in every way, from what I can see.
Nice. How far into it do you think you are? Do you have any idea?
Um, Gosh, I actually restarted it too after the first
Okay.
act because I made so many mistakes that are like irreversible that I was like, okay,
Oh man.
I'm playing this wrong. So I started over and got like 2 out of 3 of the objectives instead of like none of the objectives of the
Sure.
first act.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
so I've played maybe like 3 hours
Okay.
twice.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Nice. What's next? What else you got in your
Uh,
grab bag?
other other wordy games, Pentiment.
Mm-hmm.
Pentiment. Pentiment.
Pentiment. What a good word. What a good word too.
Yeah, it's just like I'm not a huge history buff or anything like that, but just like the feeling it gives you, it feels like they really did their research on this time period. So I don't even know if
Mm-hmm.
it's like the year 400 or something. I'm not even sure, or maybe it's way later than that. I have no idea. Yeah, maybe
I
it's
think
like
Middle Ages, maybe
yeah 14,
1300s,
yeah,
1200s.
something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just incredibly immersive, and yeah, it's kind of like reading a historical. I mean, it is historical fiction.
Sure.
Is
Yeah.
what it is. So incredible characters. It's a little less interactive than I wish it was.
Mm-hmm.
So the writing's awesome, the characters are awesome, but I just like there was times where I'm like, how much am I really interacting with this game, or am I
Sure.
just reading text on a screen for a long
Sure.
time? Like
Yeah.
how much weight do my choices actually have? That sort of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because I think that was a big marketing piece of like all the different dialogue trees and maybe multiple endings and kind of depending on where you go.
I definitely think there are, yeah, and I think ultimately it does make a big difference. But and there's like a couple little quick time events that they threw in there, but I think more stuff of that would have just been a
Sure.
little bit more fun. most of the game is talking to somebody and then choosing one of three things to say.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's also worth noting too, like the art style being super unique, super cool, like based off of illuminated manuscripts, like this beautiful 2D art that's just like nothing else you can play right now.
The sound design and the fonts too are all unique
Oh yeah.
to the characters. So it's like the more educated a character is in the
Oh
game, like the
wow.
better their script is, and like the sounds of the quill on parchment.
Oh
And
dang.
then
Yeah.
there's a guy
That's
that's
cool.
like a typesetter, and whenever he talks, his words come on screen as like block print.
That's awesome. Man, yeah, we were talking about this. I played about an hour of it and was really into it, and then Game Pass expired and never went back. But I really want to get back into it. I didn't even remember the whole different font thing. That's really awesome.
It's subtle, but like the
Yeah.
longer you play, you're like, oh, okay, everyone at the monastery has this like beautiful scrawling script, and then like the more peasant type folk like have this chicken scratch or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Nice. Oh, nice. Okay. Anything more? What else you got for us?
I think those are the main ones.
Yeah.
What else was there? Pentiment. Definitely want to talk about that. I mean, I don't think Hi-Fi Rush counts as a indie title, right? But
I guess I'd call that double A.
okay,
That's
okay, yeah,
that's published by under Bethesda, and that's yeah, that's a great one. I do like that one a lot.
I'm loving it, but I'm stuck on a boss right now, so I'm taking a
Oh
break.
man, is it the money one? That one's really tough. With
I think
the
so.
yeah
Yeah.
the
Is he like a big
mo-
wolf
um,
guy?
yes, playing
Yes.
Beethoven. That one's
Yes.
a pain in the butt. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What a game though. Nice.
Hmm.
I did think through of a few. I'm just gonna shout out of indies that I've really enjoyed. Artful Escape is barely a game, but that was just a story I really enjoyed, kind of about creative process stuff. Jusant, which is a climbing game, just that was like is a good, fine climbing game, but it had like the greatest like final level I've ever seen. Were just absolutely beautiful. Chants of Sennaar is another one that I really enjoyed. It's kind of word logic puzzle. Came out in 2023, I think. And then I'm into Balatro now. That's a great indie
Mm.
game that I'm sure is a lot of people's game of the decade. But one that I feel like why indies is like this is a good argument for indies just simply being the game of the decade is like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When Shredder's Revenge came out, this was like middle of 2022. There was just a month where everyone was just really into turtles. And it was kind of
Hmm.
like, this is this. I mean, it's a huge, massive, like, everyone knows the Ninja Turtles. Everyone loves the Ninja Turtles. But, like, this is a smaller 2D arcade game that lasts all of 2 hours to beat. But it was just this thing that people were all into. And, like, it wasn't a AAA game. It wasn't this massive multimedia event. It was just the arcade turtles game, and that kind of showed where the industry was at the time, where it was like these indies kind of got more of a highlight as the AAA development cycle has gotten longer and longer, and you get like once a quarter you get a Spider-Man, once like every other like twice a year you'll get a Last of Us,
Hmm.
and that kind of that size. The gap's been filled by like these great, really original, cool indie games.
Yep.
So, so I loved talking through this grab bag. Is there anything more of like any other game that's didn't come out this decade, but you love it? You want to shout it out, talk about it?
I mean, it barely missed the cutoff, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention Disco Elysium in the running with those other indie titles.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's just like if you love words, this game is crazy.
Nice.
It's got
Yeah, I
so
know.
many of them, and had a great time with Tunic too. I just got to give that a quick shout out.
Yes, that's a great one.
But as far as a game that's like really stuck with me in the past decade or longer, I mean, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I have just an
Nice.
absurd number of hours, and it just being able to play Smash online with my friends and at work most of the time was a real gift when
Nice.
I was staying home a lot.
Yes. Oh man, I feel like dropped off of it. I've been thinking about it lately because that's just such a good game.
It's
I've
still
been.
there.
Oh man, I was kind of. I feel like there's a better word for this, but I was. It's a skill issue where I just kind of got paced out of online matchmaking, where just like I was always losing, kind of no matter what. So I never really did that much, but it's just a good museum. It's a fun time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So much good music.
yes. Oh man, good stuff. I want to know when the next Smash Bros. Inevitably happens. Do you think it's going to just be Ultimate Complete Edition, or do you think they're doing something new?
I think it's
What
going
do
to be
you?
Ultimate Plus.
Okay, what would you want? Would you want that just to keep Ultimate going, or which is a fine answer?
Yeah, I mean, I just like the amount of work that went into Ultimate is just staggering, you know.
Yes.
So I can't imagine they could make something different without leaving a lot behind.
Yeah, that's
So I
true.
don't want just a port. I don't know. I want Ultimate, but also I mean I want as much new content as I can get, you know. So
Yeah, man.
I don't know. I'll always be playing Smash. I'll always check it out. So they can do no wrong in my mind.
Yes. And I wonder if there's a world record for number of lawyers involved with game development. And I wonder if I would imagine Smash Bros. Ultimate holds that record.
Or Fortnite.
Too. Oh man. No, that's yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, Matt, our time is short, but before we go, what is one hope that you have for the rest of the decade?
I would say more indies and
Mm-hmm.
more couch co-op. Like I want a game so good
Ooh.
that it forces you to throw a LAN party.
Oh man. Bring the people together.
Yes.
All in the same living room. Everyone brings their TVs.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great. Man. Good pick. Well, Matt, as we do our final segment here, one name, one game, what are you playing?
What am I playing? Don't want to say Citizen Sleeper again. What else am I playing? What are you playing, Mark?
Man. I I promised this a few episodes ago that I would get back into Echoes of Wisdom, and I didn't yet. But this time I'm going to do it. I want to get back into Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
I'm struggling a little bit with it.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like I'm
Yeah,
having
it is.
fun, but I'm not drawn back to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
I'm pretty passively playing Banjo-Tooie right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
that's I've been waiting for that to drop, so I'm excited that it's
There
on
you
there.
go. Good pick. Well, Matt, as we established last time, you're not really on the internet, but you're here on the internet. And I'm thankful for that. But thank you all for listening in. You can follow us on the major podcasting services or out on YouTube. You can press all the good buttons while you're there if you enjoy this conversation. You can find us on the proper socials at Quick Play Pod and let us know our indie games. Is that all cumulative? Is that the game of the decade? That's all the time we have for today. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.